Welcome into the Common Dad Podcast, Season 2. I am, of course, joined by my best friends, Andrew and Ryan. Gentlemen, how are we doing on this fine evening, morning,
You
or
have
afternoon?
low standards for your best friends.
I have low standards for my beer, too. Brought to you by Busch Light.
Busch Latte.
Unofficially.
Unofficially, of course. Unofficially. What are you drinking on there?
Willing to make it official, though.
Oh, it's
Absolutely willing to
my
make it official.
third Makers. Well, actually, I
okay.
didn't start with Makers, but I'm on Makers now. So.
Makers.
That'll definitely get the job done. There's no doubt about that.
By about the third, you don't want to really be using the higher quality stuff.
No.
So
It's kind of a waste at that point. But it's fine. It'll definitely work. I
Makers
see Ryan
does.
has
Makers goes.
a fresh water. Was that a 1980 something? What do you got there?
Make sure you pour it correctly into the
Wellesley
glass.
Farms.
Oh yeah, that's a good. Did you get that at Costco?
No, that's not
This was
Costco
from
brands.
from
yeah.
a party we had at the house.
Limited run. Those are good. Rare.
Leftover giant pack. Walmart or Costco or Sam's Club or something.
So, I am completely burned out of being a father today. I don't know if there's
Isn't
anything
that
more
every day by
frustrating.
about 9 o'clock?
Yes, but today more than anything really. So we bought these like panels that you can build like these forts out of.
I saw that on your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed, whatever it was.
Cool
I saw
when
that.
it's cool when it's done because you don't have to
Well,
bust
for
out.
about 4 seconds until they break it.
Actually really sturdy because they got all these Velcro straps that
Your
go around
kids,
every one.
my kids could teach your kids a few lessons.
I'm not saying it's indestructible, but it's sturdier than a blanket, but it takes forever. But we probably spent, and by we I mean me, spent an hour putting this thing up, and it was just an hour of hold the flashlight still, hold because as you're trying to attach these things with the Velcro, somebody has to hold it in place so you can you got to put it through. There's a little slot on one side and one on the other. You put the Velcro through, and
Bunch of
there
square
you go.
panels, and you piece them together with Velcro.
Yes, and it was hold it still, please hold it still. You're not, and it dropping it, fall, and our family fun time was just me essentially just screaming at my three boys.
see-
You need one of those head.
Yeah,
See,
Flashlights.
you guys got us a pack of those for Christmas this last year.
did you re-gift? I hope you re-gifted.
Well, so I won't lie, we thought about it, but we did not.
Should've.
We did not.
Should've.
And I remember we set it up at one point, and I was about done with parenting and kids and return to sender by the end of setting it up the first time. But the second or third time, I kind of got a hang of it. I figured out what I could build with the pieces I had.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. When you only have one pack, you kind of got
don't know.
you're limited. You're
Yeah, you
limited
can't
on
go
what you can
crazy.
create. You can't go
Yeah.
crazy. So you got it. So I had already had all of that figured out, and I spent probably half an hour putting all of this together, and I did it by myself. I used like a handrail and put it up next to a wall, and
Oh, see, that's smart.
kind of
That's a-
leaned things up together
the
so
move.
that I could put them together without any assistance. And right about the time I finished, Max comes out. All right, enjoy. Leave mommy and daddy alone. We're gonna go watch a TV show. You kids play.
Right.
Max climbs on top of it and crushes the whole thing. Yeah, thanks, bud.
Right on top of it. Yeah, that
Literally just tries to
that'll
sit
collapse it.
right on top of it. Yep, I'm just gonna sit on it.
What? That's not how you use this?
There goes an hour of your life that you'll never get back. And Daddy,
Glad
can you
I
rebuild
glad
it,
I
please,
did that
by
for the
way?
last half hour for you to sit on it.
Yep. Our plan was to put it up at the end of the night, but it took too long, so it's still upstairs in the middle of the living room, and I can already hear the screaming and fighting that will begin at about
Inevitably
7
6:37.
tears. It's gonna be a complete show, as they say, right before school. Really looking forward to that. On that note, let me just.
Another swig.
Yeah, it was a fun evening in the Gray household for sure. So anyway, on that note, let's talk about things that piss us off. Let's talk about more things.
Buddy.
So tonight's
That's
episode,
a dad topic if there ever was one.
I'm
There. Oh
There
man.
it is.
Sitting on a front porch just screaming at kids.
what makes you mad? Yeah, absolutely. That's really therapy though. Like, I don't need a therapist.
Top 10 dad pet peeves.
Oh boy, there you go.
There's
We could have done a
there's a
bracket
lister
on
for
that.
you.
We could have. We can. We still can.
We still
We
can.
can.
Tonight's
That's it. Not exactly.
We could
if
poll
I understand
the
what
audience.
we're talking about tonight.
Right. These aren't necessarily pet peeves. Tonight we're talking about the common sense things that are not so common. So I'll kind of give you the backstory on where this idea first came from. I think, Drew, if you remember, when we were driving back home from North Carolina,
Driving encompasses about 90% of these, doesn't it?
I was driving and texting, which was awesome. No, I'm just kidding. I was not texting. I used my voice command.
You would
like
never.
a good little boy. I would never do that because that's illegal.
You only text
anyway.
when we're in bumper-to-bumper traffic going 2 miles an hour.
Yeah, so you can put it in park. It's fine. But so on the way home, obviously you're on the freeway and people are merging all the time. And this will just be my first one. We'll kick it off here. And I know because I'm a good driver and I'm good enough, I should say. As all these people are merging onto the highway, I notice none of them seem to be aware of the fact that they have to yield to me.
If they're coming into your lane,
exactly,
they might want to let you know that.
The amount of times now, I don't know what kind of driver you guys are, but I'm pretty defensive, or I don't know if I'm defensive, but I just assume everybody's an idiot. Mm-hmm. So like I'm always
they are,
and
they are.
Especially depending on what state you're driving in, you're probably right. In Florida, that's a safe assumption. I feel maybe not an idiot, just crazy. But anyway, this happened to be a pack full.
No,
of
I'm
idiots
going with
that we were
idiot,
driving.
but I'll
Okay.
explain that when you finish.
Okay, good. But yeah, nobody seemed to realize, like, they would be either speed ahead of me or be too slow, be too fast. I'm like, you just got to go around me. So I would just naturally yield to them because I don't want to get into a car crash. But that was one of those things where I'm like, doesn't everybody know that? But apparently no, they don't know that, because if there's not a big red yield sign, you just dive right in.
Oh, they don't care about the yield sign. You're giving them too much credit.
No, not at all. So that
Even
was my
if there
first
was
one.
a yield sign.
Nobody seems to know that when you are merging onto a freeway, you have to yield. And if you find somebody on a bad day and they're willing to get into that crash, it's on you. I had a car full of kids, so
I could take up this entire episode with traffic stuff.
Just driving related.
Everything driving related. I'm sure Drew has plenty to contribute here too. I was at my left turn signal on. We had a left turn arrow, and somebody on a bike on the sidewalk decided to cross the street when the other our cross traffic had, and it was still a red hand, not realizing that this street that has always had a left turn signal, far as I've ever, at least as far as I've been coming to Miami Lakes dating Yanni, which is 13, 14 years, it's always been a left turn lane. And he just decides to cross, and then he acts shocked and indignant when somebody honks at him trying to turn left. Like, what do you mean? I'm on a bike.
You should be able to. You should be able to legally, not hard, but just give him a nice pop. Just give him a nice pop with your car.
We're gonna phone the lawyer in on this call.
Not enough to like blast them into the intersection, but also more than just tip them over. Like a nice hip check, It
wouldn't be your fault.
Yeah, and you just get one of those every 3 months. You get a freebie.
I think
it's like a credit.
I think they should have some sort of pillow padding around cars or something, because the other one that drives me nuts is people that pillow. The reason I say this is because my other one around this involves people leaving a store, grocery store, retail, Target, Walmart, and walking down the middle of a parking lot.
Yes.
I'm sorry. This is for cars. There's clearly sidewalks that go in the front of all the cars. In between, there's crosswalks to that, and yet you're deciding to push your cart down the middle of a traffic lane.
And it's always the person with their keys in the air. Where did I park? How do you not remember?
No, it's everybody.
You parked.
It's everybody.
It's true.
I gotta jump on.
And you pull up behind him, and you see them glance over their shoulder, like
as if you're not in the road driving with your car.
I gotta jump on Justin's because I want to talk about some driving related pet peeves. But I'm going to follow up Ryan's there because you mentioned walking down the middle of the aisle. We live in a neighborhood that's a series of neighborhoods that are all connected into one kind of larger community. And this community has a ring road that goes around a lake, and then the communities or the neighborhoods are all
You mean like a roundabout?
branched off of no, like a
Well,
it's
larger
like a
than
2
roundabout.
mile.
Okay.
It's a 2 mile circle.
Okay, gotcha.
And then there's little smaller neighborhoods off of this circle,
that.
but this one
Okay.
circle is all considered. And it's one lane either direction with a median separating the 2 lanes, one in each direction. And then on the outside of the ring, there is a blacktop, ultra like wide running, biking pathway. And on the
Right.
inside of the circle, it's a concrete sidewalk that's like a typical sidewalk, however wide those typically are, like 30 inches wide. The blacktop
36,
is
yeah.
even wider. It's probably double or even triple that of the sidewalk. I mean, it's made for biking and running and jogging and walking your dogs, and it's a much more substantial walkway. We will be driving through our neighborhood regularly, and there are people walking in the street. Keep in mind,
That's just
so it's one lane either direction with a median, and then a sidewalk on either side of the street.
so there's 3
Both
different
very well
options to
protected,
safely
and
walk.
there's probably a solid like 10 feet of grass between the road and the
Totally different
sidewalk or the
options.
walkway. Like
You got the median too.
the
I mean, if you just want
sidewalks
to be a jerk and
are
walk on grass.
super safe, protected. We have lights all around the neighborhood, everything. And these people are
Just in the
walking
street.
in the street. Some of them along the side of the median. So like like what are you doing? Why?
Yeah.
There's 100 options for you. Like why? Okay, so that said, moving on to driving. I have to say a bigger pet peeve than somebody cutting me off is actually when it's the timid driver.
Mm-hmm.
Have you come across the timid driver?
Of course.
You actually try to be nice. This person turns on their turn signal and you say to yourself, wow, somebody who I'm going to let them in front of me.
They're
so
using it.
you're in
Yeah.
the left lane, they're in the right lane, they turn on their turn signal, they want to merge over. You go ahead and you slow down.
Mm-hmm.
You provide them plenty of room. You give them 5 to 10 seconds. You flash your lights at them. Like, hey, I'm waiting for you. Come on,
Yeah.
bring it. They still aren't coming. You
Yeah.
slow down further, giving them more room, thinking, maybe I'm a little too close. Nothing. Still sitting with that turn signal on. Finally, they flip that turn signal, and now the turn signal's going the opposite direction to the right. You go ahead and pass them, and you look in your rearview mirror. What do? With their right-hand
Beginning
turn
behind
signal on, they merge into the left lane.
Absolutely. As you do. As you do. See, you should, well, never mind. I was going to say something violent there, but no. Yeah, that's unacceptable. That's just.
Right-hand turn signal merging into the left lane.
No, there are people that don't know how to how to use a stop sign. I had turned around and I was driving, and literally this happened. I was on my way to pick up the kids. I think it was Monday, and car approaches me, and I'm approaching this 4-way stop. We're both slowing down to a stop, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to see if this guy's turning, because most people don't turn on the turn signal, and he kind of goes straight. So I start to go just as this other car's coming up, and she just makes a right turn and cuts right in front of me as I'm in the middle of the intersection.
Well, you're
It's
going
like,
too slow. Shame on you.
Yep. Gosh.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Like, it's just people in cars. I feel like the test needs to be upped a little bit, and there should be like a 5 to 10 year renewal.
I want
so that
yearly exams. Yearly.
I'm
Absolutely.
okay with that as long as they're online. I don't want to be going staying
Yeah,
at
yeah.
Well,
DMV
but
once
see,
a
Just
no,
the
year.
but
basic
see,
common sense
if
stuff.
you do it online only, then you're not
I
going to
know.
catch
You're
the
gonna
people
fudge it,
that
but
just
it's better than nothing.
blow through stop signs.
So
What do you do at a stop sign? Oh, you stop. That's not going to stop the people who just blow
True.
right through it.
True.
You need a in-person practice exam
Or
to catch those
Or-
people.
you have a yearly exam, but you don't know when it in. They just tell you one morning when you're driving to work. So that way you don't know you're being watched. I
I don't know.
that's the
You're
way to
kind of
go.
getting into some big government
The
stuff.
NSA
I don't
is
care
watching
about
everybody
privacy.
already.
I don't care about privacy. Stop merging into my
Alexa,
lane.
be quiet.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But yeah, there's probably some issues there, but we can sort that out. We have a lawyer on the team. We can get that streamlined probably.
There you go.
Now, okay, so I have one. This is my last traffic one because, again, we could do a whole episode on traffic. And
Yeah.
Okay, so
I got to get off the traffic.
This is my last, real quick. So you have a green light. You want to do a U-turn in a legal state that allows U-turns. I grew up in Ohio. They don't allow those. When I moved to Florida, I was like, this is incredible.
What is this magic?
Yeah, this is great. It was fantastic. I thought it was illegal my whole life. So anyway, I have a green light. I am doing a U-turn. The person to my left who is turning right has a red light. They do not have the right of way because I have a green light.
Correct.
But they always go.
And then they honk at you.
Yes, because they think they have the right of way because they are turning right. But the green light trumps your red light every single time.
Correct. You treat it as a stop sign.
The way,
yes,
I don't know it verbatim, but the way it is at a red light, turning right on red is you're only allowed to turn right on red if the coast is clear.
Yes,
and I'm not quoting it verbatim, but it's if the path is clear.
And if there's a car,
the green light have a right of way. So if there's a pedestrian crossing or a car doing a U-turn, you do not. It is not a clear path.
Yeah.
You do not have the right of way.
I don't think that.
You never will have the right of way.
Yeah. One day when I'm having a bad day, I am slamming right into that. I will absolutely find a Mercedes-Benz and just T-bone right there. Absolutely.
With a dash cam, just to show that it was his fault in the end.
Whole deal. Absolutely.
You got to have the traffic cam too.
All right, that's my last. That's my last traffic one. I'll get off my traffic.
Don't worry, we'll drag it back to traffic before the end.
All right, what's your next one you had there, Drew?
I'm just bouncing off of yours. Let's go.
Bouncing off mine. Well,
right. I'm sure you got plenty to go around.
Ryan's got one.
I'm unprepared, but I'm drinking and we're having a good time. So
there we go. That's what
it's going to go a different direction here. That I, much like traffic, I feel like there are dozens, if not hundreds, of examples of incompetence and lack of common sense, and that's when it comes to our government and politics. So I'm going to try my very best to keep this somewhat high level, although I do have one specific example on a tangent that drives me crazy too. But let's start with COVID and how COVID was treated on a very high level. Like, I get that, well, the masks must be working because illnesses went down. Well, I had flu the year before we wore masks, and I didn't get flu the following year. And actually, with the whole quarantine and wearing masks, I didn't get a cold either. You know what? It might just be that wearing masks and covering your mouth is probably always a good idea.
Yeah, turns out washing your hands, good call.
It's not just effective for COVID. It's kind of effective for everything. And I'll kind of leave it at the whole thing at the beginning. I don't know if you guys remember. Well, the only masks that are effective are these N90 something masks, right? Or N90.
Yeah. Well,
right. These are the only ones because, and then no mask is because it's a microorganism, and so no mask is going to work. It's still going to find its way in, and then now any mask will work. But so I can wear a cloth mask over my ears, but if I'm wearing or doing this with my shirt,
not good enough.
Or if I'm wearing
they kind of addressed
gaiter,
that though. They did.
Eventually,
I don't know. Maybe
a mess.
After about a year, it took them a year to kind of address.
It was pretty early on. They said a 400 thread count cotton. It was pretty early on because we peddled masks. I was furloughed from my job, and we actually sold masks for a bit because my wife knows how to sew things, and we had a bunch of fabric, so we cut up the fabric.
I don't remember the last time I ever went to Disney and had anybody ask me what the thread count on my gaiter was versus my mask.
Yes, I wore the gaiters because they were way more comfortable. But early on, we had heard the 400 thread count cotton thing because the N95s they wanted to keep for emergency personnel.
How many times were you asked the thread count on your mask?
No, never.
In the last 2 years, Justin?
As if I would even know
you could say
how they would know to check it. Like, is there a thread count monitor, like a tint thing?
You're welcome into the restaurant, but only if you're wearing a mask. However, when you're sitting down eating, you're sitting in this area, you have to have your mask on. But when you're sitting down to eat,
I disagreed with the mask thing altogether. I know you said that ultimately wearing the masks and washing your hands was a good thing. I'll agree with the washing your hands.
Of course, it's beneficial. Yeah. If I live in a bubble with an air ventilation system, I bet I'll never get sick.
Exactly. I disagree with the wearing masks because no one actually treated the masks correctly. They all dropped them on the floor and then put them on their face after stepping on them.
So
if I don't ever get buckled in my car, or if I don't ever get in my
Right.
car, I'll never get in a car
Fuck
accident.
seatbelts.
If I don't ever fly, I'll never get right.
So during COVID, I was one of the unfortunate people who didn't have a fantastic job. So I went to work for a particular online store that happens to ship a lot of things, large warehouse, and they were doing the mask thing. And every morning I'd walk in for my shift, and the person behind the big piece of super duper safe plexiglass would hand me my mask, but they would hand me my mask by just grabbing the front of it with just barehanded, and then handing it to me. I was like, oh, this is foolproof.
This is sanitary.
Yeah, this will be fine. So I'm like, whatever. We're in a warehouse, literally shoulder to shoulder. If we're gonna get it, we're gonna get it. If we're not, we're not. A weekend, that lady was no longer handing out masks. I can't remember her name. And as I'm walking in, I overhear a conversation, so-and-so, oh, yeah, she had COVID. I'm like, well, everybody's got it. That's it. Game over.
And you have COVID. And COVID for
she
you.
Was
and COVID
literally
for you.
handing out COVID like candy at church. Like, it was just, I was just like, oh, man. Sure enough, like, I don't know, 3 days later, I had COVID. And I was like, well, if I had to guess where it came from, I'm going to go ahead and say handing out COVID lady probably. That was, yeah, that was pretty dumb.
So I'll keep it short with just kind of how the government treated that very high level. And then the other one that I was very entertained by at the time was when Biden elected, this is my specific one, our Supreme Court nominee here, Ms. Jackson. If you can call her Ms. Jackson, because she couldn't define what a female was.
It was the first black female Supreme Court justice or something like that?
Her answer was, I'm not a biologist, so she knows it has to do with biology, and I'm sure she took biology. And if in fact it has to do with biology has a pretty clear
biology
definition.
Defines it pretty straightforward.
Now, if she's trying to be woke and she's trying to be part of this aware in how you feel culture, well then actually having a biologist has nothing to do with the answer to the question.
You. Yeah.
And in fact, as a judge, you're going to have trouble judging people on whether or not there's any sort of discrimination for being gender discrimination if you can't define a gender.
Well, they separate
but she
sex
wasn't a
and
biologist.
gender. They separate sex and gender.
No, but she wants to be a Supreme Court judge.
Right. Sex is your genetics.
And she can't determine what discrimination is because she can't define a female.
Right.
Yeah, that's not a great look by Ms. Jackson.
It's not just this isn't like a traffic court judge. This isn't like television judge Judy or Steve Harvey has his own judge show now.
Judge Judy.
Steve Harvey has a judge.
Well,
show.
she knows her stuff.
Common sense. Yeah.
But how are you going to go for a Supreme Court judge nominated by a president and not be able to answer a question so nonsensical?
She got caught in a trap. And she didn't use the correct verbiage, which, for a lawyer, the number one thing you should care about is the verbiage.
Should probably know the verbiage. It's
probably you have
she
to
knows
know.
The verbiage. Right. She was too concerned about trying to come across politically correct and not angering people in the PR.
Answer that.
There is absolutely.
Yeah.
She botched the verbiage on it.
Yeah.
So.
But it's the common sense is not so common. This whole woke culture is not common sense
for the most part. Yeah.
There was an Instagram video of a guy wearing Mexican clothes going around Southern California asking students on a particular campus if his outfit offended them. And
These
every
are like
single
white,
student,
common Caucasian,
and I'm sure the video was edited. So for all of those that are like, yes, I'm sure the video would edit.
People don't edit stuff on the internet to make it prove their points.
I do not think it is a stretch to believe that many of the students on this particular campus said, yes, your outfit is offensive. He then crossed the border into Mexico and asked people if his outfit actually offended them. And not a one person said yes.
They all thought it was actually really cool
awesome.
That he was adopting the culture. Yeah. He was trying to learn more about it.
That's interesting.
The actual Mexican culture thought it was pretty cool. The woke, white, Caucasian people who have never crossed the border in their life were so offended by it.
Looking for
common sense is no longer common.
Yeah, that's dumb.
So those are mine.
No, those are good ones.
I
have one that's just as serious, I feel, that really needs to be talked about more. I was in the bathroom stall at a store last week, and I don't understand why people do this. It doesn't happen a lot, but it should be common sense. I was taking care of some paperwork, if you will. I wasn't using the urinal, and somebody jiggles the door, which
it's locked.
Okay. First of all, if you see a door shut, do you even jiggle it? Like, that's dumb to begin with.
Not usually.
Usually,
I'll look to
shut,
see if you see the shoes.
If I'm really unsure, I'll like
shoes.
Tap the door.
Okay.
Not tap it, but like I'll touch the door very, very gently to see if it swings open.
That's about the extent of being acceptable. So this guy jiggles it, like shakes the stall. Which, by the way, we need to get better stalls in America. It's outrageous. Anyway, shakes the stall. So he now knows it's locked. It's firmly locked. Tell me, if you've ever been in a bathroom stall, where's the one place a person can lock it from? It's from the inside. Unless you climb over it or under it. And then he proceeds to knock. Anybody? Yes, somebody's in here. Even if there wasn't somebody in here, what are you going to do?
What's your
Jump
plan?
Over or crawl under? Like, it doesn't matter.
You're going to crawl on the bathroom floor?
And now I have to, like, briefly talk to this.
I have a public retail store? No, thank you.
Move along, dude.
You should have just answered it like, thank you for coming to Good Burger.
Yeah,
This is Justin. How can I help you?
I didn't even say anything because I don't, like, I just went, you give, like, the territorial, like, snort or cough, like.
Back off.
I would have gone.
Yeah, it's the
weird,
most like primal, just growled through the stall. Like, it was just, and I'm just like, dude, what was the plan? What was the plan? Clearly, somebody's in here. Like, I should have just stayed silent or just said, nope, not occupied. Try again.
Nope.
Give it a go.
Nope is a good answer. Nope is a good response there.
That should have been.
Not if anybody's in there, just be like,
But I was like,
go away.
I think Drew had at the most you give it a light push, and God forbid nobody is in there. But yeah, I was like, really that dumb, huh? Okay. Good.
So I do have one I can bring up. Sarah and I have been going out to eat a little bit more often lately. I've been working from home, and so I've kind of been getting off of work. I'm getting home from work quicker because I'm working from home.
Yeah.
So it gives us a little bit more time, a little bit more free time and whatnot. We've been going out a little bit more, probably more than we probably should. Being rude to your wait staff before they bring your food.
That's the key.
You ever see the people in the tables and they're nasty the whole time they're there? And look, I mean, we've been mistreated. We've had some bad experiences in restaurants. We're certainly not immune to that.
Yeah.
But usually we won't express that until after we've received our food. And then we'll ask to see a manager or something else. Or like, I'm not about to insult the waiter or waitress before they bring me my food.
No.
You would think that's common sense.
Do you guys...
Because they're about to bring you your food, and you have no idea what's been done to it before it arrives at your table. So you might want to consider things carefully before you say things.
Just watch the movie Waiting, and
that
will change. You'll never do it again. I promise.
You'll never
do it again. And also, if you've ever worked in a restaurant, you'll be pretty sad to know that the movie Waiting isn't that exaggerated. It might be a bit, but
I'm sure.
Depends on the restaurant. Depends on the restaurant.
I mean, I'm sure that there's managers and things like that try to condition it and keep that. Because I mean, if they were ever caught in that's a massive lawsuit.
Jail
I'm
time.
sure. Like
but if everybody's in on it, who's gonna tell?
Yep.
Yeah.
You're never gonna know.
Might get some Fromunda cheese on your salad. Nobody wants that. Yeah, that's... Now, do you guys send food back ever? I do not. I never send food back.
I haven't really.
I'm terrified.
The only time I've ever sent anything back, I've sent a few steaks back when I've ordered medium rare.
Okay.
And it comes and it's not even close to medium rare. I actually had to do that twice at a. We'll say it's a steakhouse in Fort Lauderdale. It's known for its steaks.
Oh, dish.
It's a 4-star, 5-star premium steakhouse. The steaks are all well over $50 each. It's a steakhouse.
Right.
Dish.
And I ordered the first
Come
one.
on, just name it.
I ordered it, ribeye, 20 ounce or 19 ounce, 18 ounce. I don't know what it was. I ordered a ribeye, medium rare. We were on a double date. I cut into it, and I was kind of like, okay, whatever. I'm not gonna send it back. I want it, everybody is sitting here eating. Everybody got their food at the same time.
Yeah,
this is a nice restaurant. It's a white glove restaurant. Everybody's eating. Whatever, it is what it is. It's okay. It happens. Medium rare is a very difficult cook, from what I understand. It's not one of the easier ones to get because it's a very small temperature window. But whatever. The gentleman from the other couple was actually no, you're sending that back. That's not right. I can't allow you, as your friend, to do that.
Was it still bleeding?
So we sent it back. No, it was well done.
It was
medium
well.
It was medium
okay.
well done. It was medium well. They way overshot the mark. And so I don't know. Maybe it rested.
They missed the target.
Maybe it rested too long. Something like that. I don't know.
But see, now if it's
and
that
he called
far
over
off,
the waiter. The waiter came over, and I was like, yeah, it's. He's like, no, you're right. Not a problem at all. I'll get you another one.
Yeah.
They bring another one. 15, 20 minutes later, they have to. I get it. It's not like they just have them sitting there. So everybody else eats their 3/4 of their meal, and finally they arrive with another plate. And this time the waiter and the manager both stand there to watch me cut into this steak because
That's
they're
not
like,
weird.
okay, we're a premier steakhouse and we already fucked this up once.
Yep.
Sorry, honey. I cut into the steak. I don't even have to say anything. They take the plate. It's well done again.
No. But now
I feel like hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
So bad.
You stole the story. You stole the story. This literally happened to Yanni on our anniversary. No. It did. Oh. But that's why I'm dying to know the restaurant, because this was, for us, it wasn't in Fort Lauderdale. And I'll tell you, it was at.
Nope.
We had an experienced waiter who came over, saw Yanni cutting into the steak, said, I'm really sorry. That's well done, isn't it?
Nope.
Yeah.
And
the good waiters will know.
And Yanni was like, "Yeah, I'm really sorry." Now Yanni's not one to be shy about sending stuff back, but the exact same thing happened. I'm not kidding. Verbatim.
See, if
another steak came, manager and waiter, Drew, it's same story.
If it's
same
if
story.
it's that far off and if it's that expensive, I don't feel bad sending it back because the guy in the back cooking it he's there for a reason. He's not a fry cook.
Right.
And B, if it's that far
the only
off,
reason
he's not going to be mad at you. He's going to be mad at himself. Or she will be mad at himself.
And
whoever's back
the
there.
only reason I do feel even moderately bad is that probably got somebody fired. Two steaks to the same person in a premier 5-star steakhouse in a steakhouse, and you overshoot
you get demoted. You're on sauces and sides. You're no longer on the grill.
That just hurt somebody's pocketbook.
Are you guys cheap asses like me? And when that happens, a little part of you gets excited because you know your meal's getting comped. I love that. I'll send it back 3 times.
I get that way
I get a free
after
meal.
the fact, like hours after.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I went there and I was prepared to spend whatever it was on the steak, and I was looking forward to eating what I ordered. I was prepared to spend $60 on it, $70 on it. I don't care what it was. I was prepared to spend that. I was ready to. I agreed to it.
Yeah.
I want what I ordered for that money.
You ordered it. That's fair.
Sure. Yeah, you're saving me money, but I want what I ordered.
Yeah.
Right. That's good. Yeah.
Yanni does the smart version of this, Justin, unless it's those scenarios that Drew's mentioning, which I do think it's a different situation when you send that food back and you're agreeing to spend the price. She'll send food back and then just not order anything else.
Yeah, just take it off the bill.
She'll just send it back.
Because usually
She'll
it's
just be
too
like,
late.
listen, just
everybody else is finished
well, exactly.
three-quarters of their
And
meal. Like, what are you going to do?
for exactly what Drew
You're gonna
mentioned,
box
it's
it
going
up
to take
and
too long
take
to
it
cook something
home?
else.
But if I'm in a wing spot and I ordered, spicy garlic and they bring me honey barbecue, that's fine. I'll roll with it. I'm not sending it back to Fry Cook making $15 an hour so he can, do whatever.
Toss them in a different sauce.
Toss it in who knows what. Don't. I'll have the honey barbecue. Thank you very much. Don't need that going back there. No, thank you. Yeah.
So
but
slightly
the steakhouse,
different.
That's probably
Now, how do you feel? Where are you on the cups and the plates as far as their cleanliness? Do you inspect them?
I expect them to be clean. My cups
at the restaurant before you.
Okay.
So, like, if they bring a wine glass and do you look at it before they pour, whether it's water or whether it's wine, do you look at it first?
I look at I'm not inspecting it, but, like, if there's lipstick on,
that's the giveaway.
First of all, that's so gross.
But
I
you
also,
know that there's ones that
also,
aren't lipstick. Like, what if a dude was drinking out of it first? You're not going to get a lipstick stain. It's just going to be, smudges and fingerprints. And
here's the thing. I've worked in a restaurant, and I know how they wash the dishes. It's not thorough. I know the glass.
No, they shove it through that machine. But in fairness, that machine is 10,000 degrees.
It is super hot. But there's part of me that knows this probably isn't that clean, and that's the risk I'm taking going to this establishment. Like, you just as long as I can't visibly see it.
We recently went out to...
Is what it is.
And I feel like restaurants bring this on themselves, too, because they all... have you ever gone to a restaurant and it's just every single item, from the appetizer to the dish, like if you do like a chips and nachos, you've got... Everything is a different dish. They don't use the same dish for anything. So we went out to a restaurant. It's not a super fancy. I mean, it was like a... It's like a pub place, a bar, but like a nice one, like a boutique bar. But every single one of the 4 plates, my wife's, mine, and my 2 kids, were all different. And the appetizer was a different plate.
Like the actual plate, like the shape
actual
of the plate. Yeah.
Right. Like they're not using standardized plates. Every dish has its own, boutique plate that they use for that specific dish. Well, my wife ordered like a sushi bowl, and the waitress, my wife is sitting on the inside, and so they kind of have to reach over me a little bit, and she ends up, the waitress hands it to my wife. So my wife receives the plate, brings it in, and was like, "What's this grit on the side?" And she scratches her fingernail on it, and looks at her fingernail, and sure enough, there's like crusty, I don't know what, on the side of this bowl. It's a sushi rice, it's raw fish and rice and whatnot in this like porcelain bowl. Mine's perfectly fine. Everything has been fine the entire evening. Everything has been great. The waiter has been fantastic. Everything's amazing. But her bowl is clearly not clean.
Got a little grip tape on it.
She sends it back. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So she sends it back, and the waitress comes. The waiter. Did the waiter bring the second? No, I think the waitress brought the second one. The waiter did not bring Our waiter did not bring any of the food.
The food runner.
They had like a food runner bring it. And our waiter did not bring the second replacement bowl. The food runner brought it again. And sure enough, the second bowl was crusty. And she complained about it, and I totally get her side of it, but to my point is that the second bowl that she received was actually probably in the same
for sure
dishwash as the first bowl. Yeah. So if the first one wasn't clean, there's probably about 15 bowls lined up. Now, still shame on the restaurant, because they should have, if the complaint was the bowl's not clean, you would think before they bring out the second bowl, they would check, let's make sure the plate's clean, because that's what the customer is looking for, is a clean dish. Let's make sure the second dish is clean.
It's not like a steak where you have to cut into it to see.
But they just brought that right back out, and it was
just look at it.
It was crusty again.
yeah. I bet you didn't drop the plate though. Little grip
Or
on there.
just when you
No
go
problem.
to grab it from the dishes before you go to plate, run
Hey.
a towel around
Yeah,
it
it
and
doesn't
then
even have
put
to-
it down to plate.
Doesn't even have to
Like
be
it's-
clean. Little spit on there, rub that thing off.
100%.
Done.
The customer's never
Easy.
going to know.
No.
Customer's never
I
gonna
just
know.
need it to
You just
look
need,
clean.
yeah.
That's all. Like, just lie
So,
to me.
yeah.
I don't care. Yeah, that's
Food
That's
food
rough.
service is a big one.
But to your point, common sense is don't complain until you get the food because you're gonna get a little extra toppings.
I'm
on
sure we
there.
got some of that on the second bowl, too.
Oh yeah, you probably did.
I think they just took it in the bag, waited 5 minutes, and brought it back out.
Yeah. Well, I think I mean I've got literally another page of stuff on here. We'll save that maybe for the pet peeves episode that Ryan brought up. That's a good one.
I wanted to
we'll
bring it back
definitely
to
have-
driving, though. But
We'll
driving.
do this. We'll definitely do this again because nothing's better than three dads
But the-
sitting around
but the-
just
but the-
complaining.
but the
I love
pass
it.
in the left
Put in the
lane.
comments your own examples of common sense, and
No,
trust me, you
we're
will
coming-
hear from Drew and
We're
I
coming back to
and
this.
Justin.
We're coming back to this. I like this topic. I love
We should keep
complaining.
going.
It's
We
my
should keep
favorite.
going.
What do you? All right, just go. You got 3 minutes.
Passing
the
in the
clock.
left lane, slow traffic in the right, fast traffic in the left. Is this
Yeah.
not a universally known law of society, known by every state
Yeah.
generically, and yet disobeyed by
Constantly.
both genders
Yes.
of all ages
Yes.
and of all ethnicities? It is not like you can hone it into a specific, like, oh, old women.
No, it's
like
everybody.
It's everybody.
Now, I will
when you
say-
pass those people finally, when you finally get around them, it's all ages, sizes, shapes, ethnicities, genders.
But they all have that dumb look on their face. It's the same dumb look.
Well,
I don't know why I'm here, what I'm doing.
the thing is, too, it existed long before it, but it has been enhanced and worsened by this thing.
Yeah. He's holding up a
Because
phone if you're watching.
80 to
on YouTube.
90% of them will be doing this as you drive by.
Yeah. And that's
Like
where
looking down
I
on their
wish we
phone.
had some like Mario Kart like something where I could spin you out but not
you
kill
want like
you.
the mushroom button where you just
Something.
like, pew, pew,
Yeah,
and like
something.
you
No, I
know, get
want
like a
the-
boost. That's nitrous.
I want the
They
red
have that.
shell.
They
No,
have
spin
that.
'em
I
out.
want the
Throw
red
the-
shell is what I really want. But
Throw the little banana peel, let them spin
Yeah.
out, slow down,
Yeah, that's
reassess
true.
their situation while I get by you.
Yeah, we
Now, I
couldn't
will say
finish this
there's-
without talking about left lane traffic.
there is
Sorry.
not a person, and this would be my last point. There is not you're right. It's all different kinds of people, but it's about 4 different cars. You can usually narrow it down to somebody in a BMW, 9 times out of 10. Somebody in a truck that they're clearly overcompensating for.
The trucks don't do it as much.
They'll do it not because they don't want to go fast enough, but because
Only-
they feel like I'm the speed limit, and that's a whole other
only in
podcast.
the non-work truck. You know the trucks
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you see, and you're like, okay, you clearly don't use your truck for
Oh
work.
yeah.
And then there's the trucks you see, and it's like, oh, your truck is beat
No,
to crap.
the
like,
work
yeah,
trucks have a place to
you are
Absolutely.
a true work truck.
Yeah. And then there's usually
It's never the
there-
work truck. The work truck is usually the fastest guy
Yeah.
on the highway. He's getting to
They're
the next
working.
job.
I would usually say there's a Mustang in there that's just being a giant tool, and not all
The
Mustang
Mustangs are
drivers
funny though
tools.
because like
But
when
if you're
you
a tool, you drive a Mustang.
when you're about to pass the Mustangs, you ever notice how like all of a
They
sudden
speed
they
up.
just double their
Oh,
speed?
yeah. They gotta-
It's like
they
you'll
gotta
be stuck
let you
behind
know.
him for half an hour, and then you'll
Yep.
you'll merge to the right and try to go around him, and then all of a sudden they figure out where the accelerator is.
Yep. Oh, there it is. I finally found it. Yeah, those are. That's probably the number one, I would say, common sense thing that is not so common. The left lane, not. I
the
would
left
say
lane
that's
thing.
number
had
one.
to talk
I
about
say
it.
would
that's number
disagree
one.
on the cars.
Okay.
I would disagree on the cars because now I wonder if it's Dade County versus Broward County. I've had my issues with I-95.
What's your number
down
one
near-
car you're going to see in the left lane?
Minivan.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The
That's a
minivan,
good
the
one.
minivan going slow, and it doesn't matter male, female,
You're right.
or age,
That's a good
whether
one.
it's elderly or not. But it's the
It's the
minivan.
minivan.
But for me, the work trucks, and it's your 14-foot box trucks. They're 2 axles, so they don't think they have to listen to that 2 axle
yeah,
thing,
that's
and so
right.
you've got a box like the box truck or the kind of wrapped van in something, and that guy's on his phone too because he's trying to stall going to work so that he can get paid while he's just chilling in his car listening to the
Can't blame
radio.
'em.
It's not the business owners.
Yeah.
So for me, it's the work trucks and work vans and
Yeah.
Minivan, no.
Minivan's a
They're
good
always
one,
in the
too.
left lane,
Minivan's a
hanging
good
out.
one. All right, boys and girls, we're definitely gonna do some sort of part 2 or variation of this because I think we could go on, and everybody loves complaining. I know I do. Well, this has been another episode of the Common Dad podcast. Thank you so much for listening and or watching. And then if you are watching, thank you so much because you've already subscribed, liked, and followed, and you are of the top tier of human beings in this entire world, and you are certainly not driving slow in the fast lane. If you haven't subscribed to YouTube, liked, or followed, chances are you're probably one of these people. We can't fix you all the way, but a good start would be to
We'll try.
like, subscribe, and follow. And, of course, go on Instagram and follow us. And if you're super old like us, we are absolutely on Facebook. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next time. Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode of the Common Dad Podcast. Let us know if you liked the video by giving us a thumbs up. Even if you didn't, give it a thumbs up anyway. Be sure to subscribe, click the bell to get notifications every time we post a new video. Also, do not forget to follow us on Instagram at @the_common_dad and on Facebook at The Common Dad so you can let us know your thoughts on today's episode.